Let me be the first to extend a warm welcome to everyone who's joined today here at the International Society for Krishna Consciousness at Silicon Valley. We feel fortunate to have a community established here in the valley. There are lots of corporations. There's an entrepreneurial spirit here, and we share that. We just wish to extend ourselves in ways that will give people an opportunity to elevate themselves to Krishna consciousness so they can be completely happy. And for a few minutes, we can have a discussion together if you like. Would you all like that? And before I begin speaking, I'm going to speak a Mangalacharana to invoke auspiciousness. And if you'd like to join with me, please feel free. Matsamo nasti papatma naparadi chakaschana parihare pilajame kimbruve purushottama yavatinam yata yuni yuvam cha yuvatau yata Mano biramate tadvan mano me ramatan tvayi Bhumauskalita paranam Bhumireva valambanam Tvayi jata paradanam Tameva sharanam prabho Govinda balave radhe Prarte tvam aham sada Twadiyam iti janatu Govindo mam tvaya saha Radhe vrindavanadishe Karunamritavahani Kripaya nijapadabja Dasyamayam pradiyatam. Thank you. I'm sorry you couldn't join. We'll revisit it later. I think that we're more insistent that you move up than you chant the prayer. In the teachings of Krishna consciousness, we have the Srimad Bhagavatam, in which there are various dialogues between those who are fully Krishna conscious, and in the form of questions and answers, which is what a dialogue is, we hear about spiritual knowledge and also, very importantly, about the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Well, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? It's that from whom everything else emanates, and who is the origin of us all. Of course, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions that he's the source of everyone, and that we're his parts and parcels. In the Gita, very specifically, he says, Mamai vamsho jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana, that we're tiny particles of consciousness in exact same quality as Krishna, but in quantity we're minuscule, infinitesimal, whereas Krishna is infinite. And whereas Krishna has all power, we have limited power. He has all knowledge, we have limited knowledge. We do have the same quality as Krishna in that he is called Swarat, or fully independent. So if you were making an algebraic conclusion and you said we're minuscule and he has absolute freedom and independence, what would you say that we have? Very good. Minute independence. Now when we, as parts of Krishna, come in contact with the material world, there's a tendency for us to become overwhelmed by it. And there's a need, therefore, for those who are in the material world to rise above the call of the material world and come to original consciousness called Krishna consciousness. The sum and substance of our endeavors here is to come to our original state of consciousness, which was pure. And pure consciousness means that we're fully aware of our relationship with Krishna, who is a person, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Does that make sense so far? And one of the ways that is recommended in the Bhagavad Gita for us to come to that state of Krishna consciousness is to hear about Krishna. In the seventh chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that if you hear about me, he uses the phrase touch trinu, you can come to know everything about me. Phenomenal and numinous means you can understand all of Krishna's energies. And there's also a continuance of this same idea in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in which Sutta Goswami, who's in a teacher role amidst many sages, says that when you hear specifically Krishna Katha, that is, topics about Krishna, then those topics themselves have a spiritual power which purify the heart. Or when we say heart, it's synonymous with consciousness. It purifies our consciousness, and we can come to our original consciousness called Krishna consciousness. The exact verse is Srinvatam Swa Kata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana. That first line means that when you listen to the topics about Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this is a pious activity unto itself. We work in this world to develop assets of various types, correct? And we try also to avoid losing any of those assets. Hence we have insurance of various kinds. But to speak of keeping everything under lock and key. When one hears about Krishna, one develops the most valuable of all assets, which is called bhakti. Bhakti means a natural tendency to think of Krishna and to love Krishna. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a statement by Shukadeva Goswami, who's the main narrator of the book. There are stories within stories, but Shukadeva, speaking to the king, Parikshit, says, Anarto pasanam sakshat bhakti yoga madhoksaje lokasya ajanato vidmams chakre satvata samhitam. That the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, which I happen to have a copy of right here, it's only one part. In this size, there's 40 volumes. And the verse says that most people don't know about the spiritual science. But there's a remedy to that, and that is that they can hear about Krishna directly. Anarto pasanam sakshat bhakti yoga madhoksaje lokasya ajanato vidvams. Because people don't know about Krishna, the Srimad Bhagavatam is here to give a direct account of what he's like, to hear about him and his activities, the things he does, things he says, what he looks like, and so forth. And by hearing that, then one gets this asset called bhakti within the heart. It awakens. And one diminishes any of the obstacles that are there to spiritual practice by hearing about Krishna, the person. So this is very helpful because we're persons and we naturally relate to personal activity. It's hard to relate to an impersonal activity. Krishna mentions this in the Bhagavad Gita because oftentimes philosophers at a loss for what the absolute truth might be say that it's probably nothing because the material world is somewhat troublesome. And I can hear my godbrother, Sarvabhauma, who used to come up to me after class when I'd make such statements, and he'd say, that was the understatement of this century, that the material world is somewhat troublesome. We can rise above the troublesome nature of the material world by becoming Krishna conscious, but sometimes when people don't have the knowledge of the personality of God, then they come to a conclusion that perhaps God just is nothing, because material world troublesome, therefore just erase it, and then come to nothingness, because at least then there'd be no trouble. And that might, they feel, equal spiritual bliss. But that doesn't work out. You have to do the math to figure it out. Because on a number line, there's negative numbers. And if you come up to negative numbers and you stop at 0, you're missing a lot, right? Because what's above that? Correct. And bhakti is the positive numbers. It means we have a life beyond the troublesome life of the material world. And one of the ways that we enter into that life is by hearing about the very personal activities of Krishna in the spiritual world. Krishna, again, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's the origin of everything and everyone, but he's a person. And not the kind of person where if you see a picture of him, there's just a light. Because I've had that experience before when people have handed me tracts and then they say, well, here, this is about God. You know what a tract is? It's just a little pamphlet book. Oftentimes, people who are well-meaning, who want to give me some information about God or the spiritual world, have handed me little pamphlets and tracts. And there'll be a throne on the front, and then God is sitting on the throne, but I can't see him. There's only a light. And when I inquired if we could remove the light and I could see what God looks like, they said it wasn't possible. So their heart was in the right place as far as I could tell, because they wanted to know God and worship God and have me do that also. But in our Sri Upanishad, which is one of the books that points us to the personality of God, there's a revealing statement. The Upanishad is a foundational literature for understanding the spiritual science. And in it, there's a prayer from a sincere person who wants to know God. And it says, Hiranmayena patrena satyasya pihitam bukam tattvam pushana pavrenu, which means that I'm looking at the image of God and I see only a light. But then the person is saying, I know you're a person behind the light, so I want to see that form, please. I want to see your face. What might one experience when one sees the face of God? Well, the Srimad Bhagavatam explains that it's unlimitedly beautiful. In poetical language, seeing the face or any of the aspects of the personality of God is like finding the most perfectly formed, beautiful entity in this world. And what the ancient writings talk about is a personality in this world called Cupid. Have you heard of Cupid? Look it up. See where it comes from. Cupid is so beautiful that when people see Cupid, they just immediately fall in love, or more appropriately, lust. They just can't keep their eyes off that person because he's so beautiful. Where does Cupid come from?
Cupid comes from Latin cupido, which means desire, love, passion, from cupere, to desire. It means eager to desire to possess something. Also passionate desire, lust, ambition.
Somebody research and find out when and where Cupid is first mentioned as a personality.
There's also a little more.
Okay.
It says this is perhaps from a Proto-Indo-European root, spelled K-U-P, to tremble, to desire, and cognate with Sanskrit kupyayati, which means bubbles up, becomes agitated.
Still not there yet. Ask AI. Just ask when was, at what time, place, and circumstance was. Yes, you got it? Thank you. Well done.
The earliest known mention of Cupid under his Greek name Eros as a distinct personality comes from Hesiod's Theogony, written around 700 BC.
Eros. Now look up Eros. This concept is here, has been here in human society since the time immemorial. That there's a form, an entity that's so beautiful that when you see that form, then you're smitten immediately. We have Eros? Our research department.
According to AI, Eros is one of the primordial gods in Greek mythology, existing from the very beginning of creation in some versions, or as the son of Aphrodite. And the circumstance is Eros is the god of passionate love and attraction. Early depictions portray him as powerful, dangerous, and a force that causes gods and mortals to fall in love.
Yeah, Eros. Personality. And we have these depictions of the form of God then. If you take Eros or Cupid, this unlimited attractive personality, but then you use your multiplication tables and you say Eros times 1 billion. Did that work? You have Eros, who's, anybody looks at Eros, just one personality, they just fall in love. They lose it. They can't maintain themselves in this world. But then times that times 1 billion. That's the meaning of Krishna. So Krishna is unlimitedly beautiful. And his form attracts everyone in the universe. Just by seeing his face, by seeing his eyes, one is carried away. So the Srimad Bhagavatam says, this is a necessary element of spiritual realization. Minus the attractive feature of God, we still maintain our attachment to the forms of this world. Has anybody here ever noticed that there are attractive or more attractive forms than others in this world? Okay, only 2 people I heard admit. Everyone's like, I'm not going to say anything about that. I'm completely Dhira. I'm unaffected by anything in this world. We may notice with profit that we're attracted to beautiful forms in this world. People go to museums and, I don't even know if they go to museums anymore, but people seek beauty. And when we're in a state of beatitude, it means we see something that's aesthetically so pleasing that we go into a kind of trance. There's a beatitude. And so this idea of Eros, the unlimitedly attractive personality times 1 billion or 1 trillion, that's the form of Krishna. Now, Krishna is fully active. It's not that he's just a painted picture or an AI robot. But just as we're persons, he's a person. And so the Srimad Bhagavatam is the description of the activities of Krishna in the spiritual world. There are many. And by hearing these, say the sages at Naimisaranya and Shukadeva Goswami himself and Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, listening to them, one becomes attracted. And simultaneously, the lower qualities that we've held onto in our hearts that hold us to the material world or compel us to want to be attracted to the temporary forms of this world, which after all are a reflection of the spiritual world, and therefore we cannot hold on to them. We move from the negative numbers, we go past zero, way past zero, into the positive numbers. And then we have this process of bhakti, which is altogether compelling and fulfilling. And so in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we find stories as an example of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his hometown in a place called Vrindavan. And Krishna shows different aspects of himself at different periods of his life. For instance, when he first appears in Vrindavan, an event we'll be celebrating in a couple of days called Janmashtami, the time when Krishna apparently appears in this world, because as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvata tyakvadeham punarjanam naiti mameti soarjuna, that although I apparently appear in the world like an ordinary person born into the world, it's not an ordinary birth. It is divyam, it's transcendental. And the activities are transcendental as well. And what's more, Krishna says, when you come to understand the nature of his activities, his birth, his pastimes in this world, you know them in truth, and you know categorically that they're different than ours. By that knowledge alone, you're not obligated to stay in the material world. In other words, you attain perfection of life as a human being by understanding those pastimes. Does that resonate so far? This is the context of the Srimad Bhagavatam and why we gathered to hear about it, and why the sages at Naimisaranya came thousands of years ago, and they asked Sutta Goswami to speak about Krishna and tell us what his pastimes were, because we want to hear those. And it was the saving grace of Parikshit Maharaj, who was a king and had been cursed to die in 7 days, and then when he had gone to the Ganges River, after having renounced his kingdom, many people came and gave advice about what he should do in the final 7 days. Everyone's got an opinion, right? Even if you have a cold, everyone tells you, take this. No, don't do that. You should ice it. No, you should use heat only. No, heat and ice. But then finally Shukadeva Goswami came with the definitive advice and was recognized by all the great sages present there. He spoke to Parikshit Maharaj over 7 days, specifically about the pastimes of Krishna. So he talked about the ways in which Krishna was born in the world, apparently, and what his activities were like as a little baby. And then as a toddler, when he was able to stand up, he had a brother named Balaram, elder brother, and they would play together in Vrindavan, which is a village, apparently. Of course, keeping tabs with the overall scheme of the material and spiritual worlds. The whole material world is not comparable to even one planet in the spiritual world. And if you take all the planets in the spiritual world, they can't equal the size of the supreme planet in the spiritual world called Gogoloka Vrindavan. And they're always expanding. Nonetheless, Krishna appears to be in a village setting. And there in the village, he shows his pastimes as a little baby, and as a toddler, as a baby. He shows his superhuman powers. For instance, And I'll just add to the intrigue of the story, the time when Krishna's born, there's a king who had usurped the kingdom of his father, Ugrasena, imprisoned all his relatives. He was a despot, and at all costs he wanted power. And at all costs he wanted to live and not be killed. And there was a prophecy that he'd be killed by God, who would appear as the 8th offspring of his sister. Thumbnail. So Krishna appeared, and he was playing as a little child. And anybody here ever see a cute baby? Baby animals are really cute. You know, everyone, oh, look at that little bunny. It's hard to take your eyes off. And when a little human is cute as a baby, so everyone just wants to, Gucci, Gucci, you know, when you're bringing them over. So Krishna, keep in mind the idea of eros multiplied by 1 billion times. What did the baby Krishna look like? Well, he was the attraction of everyone. Everyone wanted to see what he was doing. What was he doing? Apparently ordinary things, playing around, sometimes grabbing the tail of a calf, because they lived in a pastoral scene and there were cows, calves. It was a cowherd community that he grew up in. His father was a kingly person, but king of the cows and the cowherds. So Krishna and Balaram would play in that environment, and they would roll in the mud. There's different colors in the ground of Vrindavan, and sometimes when they would be holding on to the tails of calves and they would be dragged through the environment in the Vrindavan area, and when they'd come back to their mothers, who were standing nearby, they had to be smeared with these different colors from the ground of Vrindavan. They look even more beautiful. And the mothers, the mother of Balaram was Rohini, and Yashoda is the mother of Krishna, would be intrigued to see them. And they couldn't stop looking at them or embracing them, taking care of them, bathing them, feeding them. And as they grew up, they became, I'm trying to think of the right adjective. There's no rascally, rascalish. They became mischievous. And mischievous means little kids are mischievous. Prajarath Bhavana used to be mischievous. I won't go into details, but he was. And I mean, look at him now. He's serene, Brahminical. But kids at a certain age, they become mischievous sometimes. And Krishna was extremely mischievous, and that's why he's famous. When anybody who knows about the culture of Vrindavan talks about Krishna, they call him Makan Chor, another name for Krishna, which means he was a thief as a little kid. He would go to neighboring houses and he would steal butter at any cost. He would eat it. He would share it with the monkeys. And anybody who's been to Vrindavan, it's same. Still monkeys there. Monkeys are always ready to wreck stuff. So they had a compatriot in Krishna who also liked to break things. And he would share butter with the monkeys and with all his friends. And then when the neighbors would come, he would threaten them and run off. And as he got a little older, he engaged in even more glamorous and daring activities. So one day in Vrindavan, this is a story told in the Srimad Bhagavatam about Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He had gone to the Jamuna. Now, Jamuna is one of the most important features of Vrindavan. It's a river that, when you look upon it, especially on a full moon night, when it's the reflection of the moon is on the Jamuna, you fall in love with Krishna. In fact, there are many features in the town where Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, lives and grew up and was born, that stimulate this sense of pure love within the heart. One of the other places is called Govardhan. It's a hill. And if you go to Govardhan Hill, you'll be so charmed that you just want to stay there. And millions of people come there every year, and they just walk around the hill. And if you ask them where they're going, they just say, around the hill till I get back to where I started from. Because they just want to be near Govardhan. And if they're lucky enough when they're there, and there's maybe a little thunder shower, and you can see the water coming down on top of Govardhan Hill, then people feel charmed in their hearts. They can't forget that scene. So there's the Jamuna River, there's Govardhan Hill. There are many trees there in Vrindavan which are called Kalpavriksha trees. They're trees that are called wish-fulfilling trees, that any desire someone has to engage in the service of Krishna, when they sit near the tree and they have that desire, then the tree fulfills their desire. The nature of the earth there is called Chintamani. One speck of the dust from that place is more valuable than all the wealth in the three worlds of the material world. Can't be compared. So Krishna had one day gone off to play near the Jamuna River. And even today, there is a section of the Jamuna River which is a lake. It's conjoined with the Jamuna River itself. But as most of you know who have been around for a while and have watched the geography of the earth change, you know that rivers change in size. They also change directions sometimes, and they get closer, farther away. At this time, 5,000 years ago, the Jamuna was far wider and deeper than it is now. And as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there was an outlet to the Jamuna River, which is called the Jamuna River Lake. And at that place, and according to the Srimad Bhagavatam, that place, that expanse of lake, was 8 miles wide. And nobody could plumb the depths of that lake. Now in Vrindavan, it's always harmonious, except there's something intriguing and fun about Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. I mean, if you've ever read a book, of course you've read a book. I know you went through school. If you read a book and the first page says it was a beautiful, sunny, nice day and nothing bad happened, and then you turn to the next page and say, there was another beautiful, sunny day, and there were no ill occurrences, it was just harmonious. And then you read the next page, and then you flip through fast, and you go to the next chapter, and it says, and then there was another harmonious, beautiful day. And everyone was happy. Then you go, come on, where is it? Go to the end. And in Vrindavan, which is the spiritual world, it's a beautiful day. But it's accented with danger and excitement. So into Vrindavan, this harmonious atmosphere where everyone's happily engaged in singing about Krishna, being with Krishna, there are these characters that enter called asuras. They're demons. And their main purpose in life is to kill Krishna. So there's also an element of danger within Vrindavan. Krishna one day goes to the Jamuna River with his friends and his cows to play. And that particular day, it came to his attention that there was a snake, not an ordinary snake, but a snake named Kaliya, who had hundreds, actually thousands, he had 100 main hoods, serpent, and he was gigantic. And he had taken over that lake, and he didn't want anybody else that was civilized to come there. He had a lot of snake friends. He was an extremely poisonous serpent who lived there, and he contaminated the whole area. So much so that if birds flew over, they would die. Or the grass nearby, just by the fumes that came from that Jamuna lake, it would wither and die. And if any cows went there and drank the water, they would die. So Krishna went to that lake, And he saw that the Kaliya serpent, a fearsome demon, was living there. And he climbed up on a kadamba tree near the lake, went out on the far branch, he tightened his belt, and slapped his arms like a wrestler. And then he jumped in. Ostensibly, it was a cannonball dive, if you know what that is. Any of you dive? Only 3 people know how to dive. Cannonball is something that kids used to do in the public swimming pool. They roll up in a ball and they try to make a maximum splash so that everybody on the side that was trying to dry off gets wet again. And of course, Krishna is not an ordinary person. He's heavier than millions of mountains when he wants to be. So when he jumped off that branch of the kadamba tree, landed in the water, it was like a tidal wave went through that lake. And then he began splashing around with his hands and his arms. And it was making a melodious sound. And the last thing a poisonous demon like Kaliya wants to hear is music. He became extremely agitated. Like if you've ever had a neighbor who's always grouchy, and if they hear you playing some nice music, they'll complain and say, "Oh, what are you doing that for?" Kaliya came awake, and he came to attack Krishna there in that lake, grabbed him, bit him on the chest, and then held him in his coils. All of Krishna's friends who were along the bank of the Jamuna saw this and were petrified with fear that Krishna had been captured or even killed. And then there were bad omens within Vrindavan. People saw that unseasonably bad weather was coming in, and left sides of their bodies were twitching, which shows danger. And they all ran down to the Jamuna where they knew Krishna was. They followed his footprints along the pathway to get there. And Krishna, noticing that everyone had gathered along the Jamuna and was in complete anxiety, relished seeing the sight. And then people might ask, well, why did he torture his friends and families like that? It was because in Vrindavan, everyone's a pure devotee. They have no material desires or material emotions. But in his pastimes, Krishna tries to evoke the love of his devotees. So when he's in a fearful situation, but when he's in a dangerous situation, and his friends, relatives, family members, even the cows, become afraid, their love comes out manyfold. Finally, Krishna, whose body can expand unlimitedly, expanded himself so that he was released from the coils of Kaliya. And then he began to dance. And this is one of the first times that on a public stage, everyone in Vrindavan got to see Krishna dance. Have you ever seen Bharatanatyam? Last night we saw some, I don't know if that was technically Bharatanatyam, I think it was. It was a really good dancer. Her name was Gaurangi, I think. Do you know her? Nobody else was there? You went? Who was that? Huh? Gaurangi. She did a Bharatanatyam dance, and that's why I thought of Kaliya today. Because Krishna got up on the hoods of Kaliya and he began dancing. So Gaurangi last night, when she was dancing, she was slapping her feet on the floor really hard. It's like slap, slap, boom, boom, very gracefully. It was amazing. You were there, Brajaras Baba. So Krishna did that, and he was dancing on a moving platform, showing the greatest dexterity dancing. And he had a lot of secret admirers there, especially the young girls. And it was the first time he was showing off. As they were watching, he goes, he dances? Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher, once said, I would never believe in a God who cannot dance. And in the descriptions of the spiritual world, it says in the Sri Brahma Samhita, that's every step is a dance. And last night Gaurangi was dancing to a raga and a meter, and it was very intricate. So all the music and the aesthetics come from the spiritual world. And they all emanate from Krishna's pastimes. So when Krishna was dancing, not only did everyone's hearts come alive because they saw, oh, Krishna is not slain by this horrible demon. He was just a little kid. Not only that, he was putting on a show. And simultaneously, he was beating the poison out of Kaliya. Because Kaliya had become so envious that he developed this poison, and every time he tried to bite Krishna, Krishna would slap one of his heads with his lotus feet, and the poison would come out. Finally, and this is an important time that comes in our lives, in our existence in the material world, Kaliya became completely exhausted. All the poison was out of him. Krishna beat it out of him by his dancing. And he finally just collapsed and gave up. He had wives, many wives, did Kaliya, who then came forward and asked for mercy for their husband. The prayers there in the Srimad Bhagavatam by his wives are something you can study over and over and over again because they give the perfect example of how to pray to Krishna. And Kaliya finally came to his senses after all the poison was stamped out of him. So when we hear these pastimes of Krishna, we can be at once charmed, and at the same time we can take the lessons that come simultaneously. They're didactic, but in and of themselves, punya shravana kirtana, they instill this spiritual attraction that is real. It's like when you're very hungry and you eat food and you actually feel satisfied. This is one of the points made in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the philosophical section. It says, Bhakti parishanu bhava viraktir anyatra traisha trika eka kala prapadyan manasya yathashyata shush tushti pushti shud apanyunugasam, which compares our life in this world to be a kind of spiritual starvation. We're all hungry for something, for that beauty and the charm of the spiritual world. That what we really want is not so theoretical or philosophic. We want to love, and we want to be loved, and we want to be enraptured with beauty. That's what we really need. And so the verse says that when you give yourself completely to hearing about Krishna, you feel the same satisfaction as a hungry person does from eating. Nourishment, satisfaction, your hunger goes away. Our hunger doesn't go away in this world by going to the mall, because inevitably you get the wrong color, or it's the wrong size when you get it home, or wears out on the first wash. Whatever it may be, nothing ever works out in this world. But hearing about Krishna, it evokes from the heart what I described before as bhakti, natural attraction to Krishna. And it gives you a direct perception of who God is, just by hearing it. And thirdly, it makes you think that the rest of the world is, not so interested anymore. I have something better to do, somewhere better to sit, some topic that's more intriguing for me, and that's real renunciation. What yogis try to get after millions of years of meditation. It can be attained by hearing Krishna Katha. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is that book that gives through metaphor and through stories all the philosophical truths that are important to fortify the human intelligence in this world. What's more, it gives what is called the Leela of Krishna. And when we hear the Leela, we don't have to interpret it. Although the great teachers from the past give us some insight into the lessons we can take away. If we just hear it, says the Srimad Bhagavatam, all our desires will be fulfilled and we'll be naturally attracted to the spiritual world. So the International Society for Krishna Consciousness has both aspects. It's highly philosophical, but it's ascetic. There's beauty in all the activities of Krishna consciousness, And there's a special beauty in hearing about the pastimes of Krishna in the Srimad Bhagavatam. In fact, this next month is the culmination of a worldwide campaign to share this book, the Srimad Bhagavatam, with people on every continent of the world, including Antarctica. This morning we had a meeting with people engaged in this campaign from America, India, Europe. And last night we had a meeting with leaders from the other side of the world, from Australia, New Zealand, Japan, etc., etc. And all of them have experienced the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam and realized that the panacea for human beings is not just feeding them or getting more hospitals opened, because disease will continue, death will continue. Death rate's the same as it now as it ever was. You know what the rate is nowadays? It's 100%. It's always been that way. But, final point, Srimad Bhagavatam mentions Nivrittatar Shurupagiyamana Bhavaushara Chotra Manobirama Ka Uttama Shloka Gunanavada Puman Virajeta Vina Pushugnat. Says this is medicine. Medicine that cures the disease that causes us to die. That's the symptom of our disease. You have to die and take rebirth in the material world. That's curable. That's good news, right? And the cure is Krishna Katha. It's like a drink. Doesn't it sound like a drink? Krishna Katha. You take the drink of this nectar and you can drink it with your ears. And in fact, it's said in the Srimad Bhagavatam at its outset, Pibata Bhagavatam Rasam Alayam, that it's a drink. Pibata means drink. You can drink this. Pour it in your ear by hearing it. And when you drink it, it gives you a kind of intoxication. It's not like the intoxication of this world where, people drink and you can smell alcohol coming from their pores, and then they act like complete fools and crash their car into a wall. It's not like that. It's a spiritually elevating beverage that brings one to full happiness and full realization by drinking this beverage with one's ears. And this is the great mission that started by our founder to make this beverage available to people all over the world. The Srimad Bhagavatam, how to hear it. So practical application of it is keep the Srimad Bhagavatam in your house, and every evening when all the family's around, call everyone together for at least 10 minutes and read together something from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And if you try that for 1 month, and everyone in the family doesn't find some benefit from it, then I'll double your money back from your Srimad Bhagavatam set that you took home. You just come to me and say, we tried this for 1 month, reading 10 minutes a day together in our family, and fights broke out, and we feel worse about life, and we're really bummed out. We want our money back. I'll give you double your money back from whatever you paid for your Srimad Bhagavatam set. I know you already have one, right? If you didn't say yes, see me afterwards. So we highly recommend this process of Krishna consciousness. It's a beverage. You can drink it. When you drink it, you feel happy. There's no side effects. And at the end of this life, you'll have done what the Srimad Bhagavatam says you should do, which is use this life for the highest purpose, which is to remember Krishna at the end of death, at the end of life. Yes, Srivas Prabhu. Pardon me? 2237. This is a cryptic message coming from our pundit in the back. Give Panditji the microphone and he'll explain The number's 2237. You can get a tattoo
Srimad
of it.
Bhagavatam.
Spread it around as a conspiracy.
Srimad Bhagavatam 2237.
Means?
Means if they can
Oh, you'd like it on the board. Okay. Put it up on the screen, please.
just to continue with what you're saying.
He's helping out. 2237 says, Pibanti ye bhagavata atmana satam katam vritam shravana puteshu samvritam punanti te vishaya vidushtaya shayam vrajanti tachcharana saro rakantikam. And the translation is, those who drink through oral reception, fully filled with the nectarian message of Lord Krishna, the beloved of the devotees, purify the polluted aim of life known as material enjoyment, and thus go back to Godhead, to the lotus feet of Him, the personality of Godhead. Case in point. Thank you very much. We'll take it. Any questions? Fine, let's chant. This is, yes? A question, a point, a comment.
You mentioned Nietzsche. There's one point he's from Europe, and it was written on the wall in the train, God is dead, Nietzsche. Then after Nietzsche died, someone put, Nietzsche is dead, God.
Touché. Any other points? Okay, yes. Please move forward. We are vegetarian.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
2
While
point
you're while
few
you're
inches.
while
Yes?
you're talking about hearing the leelas of Krishna and how that can invoke bhakti, I was reminded of a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 2, verse 37. I'll recite it. Shinvan granam sams smarayams cha chintyayan namani rupani cha mangalani te kriyasu yastvak charanara vindayor avishta cheta nabhavaya kalpate. I was reminded of this verse because it explains about how if devotees' minds are completely absorbed in Krishna's lotus feet and they are hearing the pastimes of Krishna, one can truly understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and they can transcend to the transcendental platform.
Thank you. Okay. Yes. Alone enough, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Earlier in your class, you mentioned that the spiritual planets are always expanding. Can you expand upon that?
Yeah, they're getting bigger. It's counterintuitive to what we expect in the material world, where there's entropy and everything's collapsing on itself, contracting. Sometimes it expands, sometimes it contracts in the material world, but the spiritual world is expansive, and it's always getting bigger. It's hard to appreciate that when we've been associated with the dull material energy. Therefore, the spiritual world is described, and Krishna is described as adbhuta, surprising. The material world is a surprise at every second. Spiritual world is a surprise at every second, and I was going to say the counterpart, the material world, is a disappointment. Things fall apart. Our nature is consciousness, and consciousness can expand unlimitedly. And everything in the spiritual world is conscious and is continually expanding. The expansive power of consciously loving Krishna. And at the same time, the environment seems very intimate. When you have love, true love, then everything seems expansive. If you live in a tent and you love the person you're with, there seems to be enough room. If you live in a big house and you don't like the people you're living with, it seems a lot smaller. So the spiritual world is unlimitedly, it's unlimited, and the experience is that it's expanding because love expands. And Prabhupada gives a kind of scientific anecdote when he describes how if you put a beam of light towards the sky, theoretically it could expand. If it's going at this in degrees outwardly, it will get larger forever. So that's an ontological fact in the spiritual world. It's ever increasingly more beautiful, and love has no limit. There's not a plateau. It continues forever. Yes.
I just wanted to say I appreciated how you could connect. Yesterday you saw a dance and you connected it to Kaliya's pastime, so that was very impressive. That how you never forget Krishna and can connect everything with Krishna. You also mentioned how in every pastime of Krishna there is a lesson for all of us. So what practical lessons can we draw from the pastimes of Kaliya?
If Krishna smacks you around a little bit, you should be happy. Because oftentimes we take it in this world that everything should go perfectly in my life. And when it doesn't, we feel great disappointment. But devotees align themselves in such a way that when things do seem to be a little rough, they take it as, oh, it's a slap of Krishna's lotus foot on my head, knocking out some of the poison. That's embodied forever in the verse 5 Lord Brahma. Tate nukampam susamikshamano bunjana evatma kritam vipakam hridvagvapurvi viradam namaste shiveta yo mukti pade sadaya bhak. Lord Brahma, who is smacked around a little bit, especially in the ways that Krishna showed, Brahma's the most powerful in this universe. First created being, very intelligent, powerful. But when he came up against Krishna's power, which Krishna displayed in a very humorous way, he was so overwhelmed by it that he surrendered his great intelligence, said, don't try through this. What's more, he said, if you live to receive the lessons of Krishna, even when it comes as a slap, he said, then you're qualified to go to the spiritual world. When you're able to take the punishment of the master as a reward and be able to take the lesson from it, then you're qualified to go to the spiritual world. He says, Sadaya Bhak, you inherit the spiritual world when you take everything as Krishna's mercy. Literally, he says that. So in that pastime, we see many lessons. One is that you should have a good wife, because the wives, the Nagapatnis, they're the best. If anybody reads those prayers of the Nagapatnis at the end of this chapter, which is number 17, it's 10:17 for anybody's keeping score at home. Or if you don't have a set of Bhagavatam, see me afterwards. We'll take care of you. And there, when you read the prayers of the Nagapatnis, they want to protect their husband, but they say, no, we understand he's a rascal. And we're glad you knocked the poison out of him. And then when they saw his countenance change, when they were watching their husband get beat up by the lotus feet of Krishna in a very graceful, the most graceful possible way. But still, there was a little bit of, for Kaliya, there was a sense of violence because he thought he was going to destroy Krishna, and then Krishna nonchalantly, artfully beat the stuffing out of him. And the Nagapatnis, those are the wives of Kaliya, they saw his countenance, and because they're so perceptive, they knew him well, but they're also devotees. That's the main thing. They worshiped Krishna, whereas their husband didn't. That can happen, right? And yeah. So when they saw his countenance become humble, they said, oh, now you should give him mercy. They said, we understand why he needed to be beat up, but now we can see that he's surrendering to you. He's given up his pride. So that's important. The first lesson Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter, verse number 8, he says, amanitvam. He said, if you want to make advancement in spiritual life, give up your pride. And in the Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, he says, nirmana moha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritti kama dvandvarva mukta sukha dukkha samjer gachantya mura padamavyayam tat. First thing he says, that if you want to make advancement spiritually, nirman. You know what that means? You know how people in this world say, you're the man? You don't know that? Or they say, I'm the man? Do you know that or not? Yes. Don't be so coy. He says, don't be the man. Nirman. Nirman means don't be the man. Nirman. Unless you're our man. And so that's the first step in spiritual life, to be self-effacing, or effacing the false self. And saying, I'm not anything in this world. It's just a dream that I'm something. My main designation is I'm a servant of Krishna. And that's what comes out of this, is that Krishna is so kind. He gracefully helps us to divest ourselves of the false ego that I'm something great. What to speak of the poison that we get. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Icha dvesha samutena dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani sammoham sargayanti parantapa. Everyone gets born into this world with an attitude. Lose your attitude, he says. And give it up. Don't be such a fool. Just take shelter of Krishna. And we see that right before our eyes in the pastime of Kaliya, and how nice Krishna was to Kaliya also. In fact, it's noted by Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, after he chastised Kaliya, his words were so sweet to Kaliya after he beat him up. Kaliya's heart was really touched. Krishna was so nice to him. So we can know from this pastime, we can learn that we're getting beat up for a reason in this world. It's so that we can open our hearts and actually live the real life we want to live, which is to be lovers of Krishna. And we can't do that when we're holding all this poison. And don't put any more in either. There's so much poison you can drink in your ears or watch and take in through your eyes. Why drink poison? Drink Srimad Bhagavatam. Hi, I'm Vaisesika Dasa. I drink Srimad Bhagavatam. We recommend it. They paid me. They paid me to do that. There was one other question. What, 1, 2?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for the wonderful class. I've heard the explanation that the bottom of Krishna's lotus feet, his soles, that they're red, is because of his dancing on Kaliya's
Well, they did
head.
become red when he danced, because Kaliya had red jewels and his feet look, but they're naturally reddish anyway. You can read that in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. But you bring up a good point. God has beautiful features. Now, that's taboo to say in most Judeo-Christian environments, because you can't say anything about the form of God. That is untenable as far as the sages of Naimisharanya and of the teachers of the Bhagavatam go, because it's extremely necessary. I think necessary is enough. I'll just say it's necessary to know the features of God, the peculiarities of God. And so you very astutely brought up his feet, and that comes out in this pastime. I mentioned how there were bad omens, and I skipped over a lot of the details because this is a short class, and it's also family hour. So when there were bad omens, the residents of Vrindavan, headed by Yashoda and Nanda, Krishna's parents, and all their minions. And they came running to where they knew Krishna was. And it says in the text that they followed his footprints. And then one of the great commentators on Bhagavatam brings up this point. He said, how were there still footprints in Vraj? Look, there's millions of cows, millions of people. How do the footprints still show up there? First of all, he says, Krishna's footprints are different than anybody else's. They have special markings on the bottom. There's a thunderbolt. If that's not cool, I don't know what is. There's a barley corn. There's various markings that you can meditate upon. In fact, it says elsewhere in the Srimad Bhagavatam, if you want to do meditation, it says, meditate on the thunderbolt that's on Krishna's lotus feet. And he said, when yogis do this, it smashes mountains of sin that have built up in the heart over millennia of being in the material world by meditating on Krishna's thunderbolt on his lotus feet. And so why were they still visible? Well, this gives insight into the commentary of our great acharyas, particularly Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, because everyone in Vrindavan loves Krishna so much, even as thousands, tens of thousands, millions of them, that includes cows, cowherd boys, the gopas, the gopis, as they're walking around Vrindavan, they never step on Krishna's footprints. Somehow they artfully go around them, so they're always visible. So that's how they followed the footprints from Nanda's house all the way down, and they found where Krishna was at the Jamuna. Vijay Prabhu.
Mataji asked about what more we could learn about this pastime with Kaliya. Prabhupada said that when Krishna was dancing on the hoods of Kaliya, the poison was coming out. When we're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna's dancing on her tongue, and the poison is also coming out.
We'll take it. All right, then let's chant Hare Krishna and leave a little poison behind. So, this chanting is mentioned, the mantra itself. It's an eternal mantra. But it shows up in various places. One of them is the Kalisantarana Upanishad, which specifically mentions that it's 16 words, 32 syllables, and it's got the 3 words Hare, Krishna, and Rama. And the great acharyas have passed this mantra down as the primary means through which one can meditate on Krishna by repeating the mantra and listening to it. So this is a purely spiritual activity. And this system of call and response, of having a chorus, it envelops us in the sound of the mantra, which is non-different from Krishna. You don't have to do anything special except just be there and be present with the mantra. And if you want to enhance the experience, listen very carefully to the mantra and then sing it with your heart. If you have any anxiety, if you have any sense of angst, same thing. If you would like to advance spiritually and you want to express your sincerity, do it through your chanting of the mantra. Shall we try? Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswati Gurvani Prasharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Ashtakadeshasha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Lord Premanande, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Now, we feature here at ISKCON Silicon Valley every Sunday night, with very few exceptions, a Hare Krishna dance party. Now, it's a boring life in the world. There's lots of complications and anxieties 24/7. Just drop them and dance. We're going to move all the stuff out of the way, even the seats and the rug, everything. It's a beautiful floor. Trees willingly, I hope, sacrifice themselves for this floor, just for devotees to dance on. Graceful, open-hearted, singing, dancing is the method of spiritual advancement in this age of Kali. So let's do it. Who else? Everyone else. Anyway, we won't worry. We'll just invite them in. Thank you very much for coming today, and we'll see you on the dance floor in about 1 minute and 47 seconds. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the wonderful class.
Oh, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Edri.
I have already booked the ticket for mass.
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jai Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Vajracharya Ashotra Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivajacharya Ashotra Shata Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswata Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki प्रेम से कहो कि श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिव स्वादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरी गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की मथुरा धाम की नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगा माई की यमुना माई की तुलसी देवी की भक्ति देवी की सामवेद भक्त वृंद की कौर प्रेमानंदी. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Dala dala dadaine. Dala dala dadaine. Hiranyakashipu Dakshaha. Hiranyakashipu Dakshaha. Shilatangana Kanaye. Shilatangana Kanaye. Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha. Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha. Yato yato yamita to Narsimha. Yato yato yamita to Narsimha. Pahe Narsimha Hridaye Narsimha. Pahe Narsimha Hridaye Narsimha. Narasimha Madem Saranam Prapade. Narasimha Madem Saranam Prapade. Tava Kara Kamala Varena Kamaduta Shringam Talita Hiranyakashipu Tanubeka Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Navakara Kamala Varnaka Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubinga Kesavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Kamala Jaya Narsimhadev Jaya Narsimhadev Jaya Narsimhadev Jaya Narsimhadev Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Jaya Bhakta Prahlad Sita Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Sita Gaura Hari Bol Krishnadev Bhagwan ki Prahlad Maharaj ki Nitai Gaur Premanandi
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. We welcome you all to the Sunday Feast Festival here at ISKCON of Silicon Valley. Thank you for joining us. It's our good fortune to have you here, and thank you for taking your valuable time and visiting us for today's program. So let's give a big round of applause to everyone who has joined us here tonight. Hare Hare Bol. We would also like to thank all our online viewers as well. So let's give them a big round of applause. Hare Bol. Today's talk and Krishna Katha was brought to us by His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu. Let's express our gratitude and thank him for bringing an excellent class and also leading an ecstatic arti. Hari 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 Bol! Hari Bol! We'll also like to thank Bhakta Arman for leading a Narshinga Arti. Hari 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 Bol! Last but not the least, we would like to take this opportunity to thank Nitai and His Grace Charunimai Prabhu for bringing us the Nimai. Okay, yes. Thank you. Bhakta Nimai and His Grace Charunimai Prabhu for bringing us the broadcasting of this program. Hari 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 Bol. Anyone coming here for the first time? Thank you. We have few devotees there. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming. And if you have any questions or if we could be of any assistance, please reach out to me. My name is Sri Gopal Das. Or Hanspriya Mataji. You will see her around because she's busy with... She's there. She's there, yes. So, yeah, please. She has so much She's so much busy, but she just took a time out to, join us for the announcements, because she will be making what's coming up, the biggest festival of the year, and we will hear from her what's happening throughout this week and on that special day. But let's chant one Mahamantra for all our newcomers. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We have one sponsor for tonight's feast. We would like to acknowledge and invite the sponsor, Her Grace Ananga Sundari Mataji, for sponsoring tonight's feast. Hari Bol! So Mataji, thank you for sponsoring the feast, and please reveal the occasion why you are sponsoring. I think you kept us a secret from us.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Supriya Mataji. I'm actually sponsoring on the occasion of Ananga Gopika's birthday tomorrow. Anangopika and I go way long back, before we had Prishni, Ramani, before we had our husbands. So we know each other inside out, actually. And I really admire two deep qualities in her from Guru Maharaj. One is she's always glorifying the devotees. She seeks the best out of them, always. And her topmost priority is to serve all the Vaishnavas, no matter what. She will go out of her way to serve all the Vaishnavas. And from Vaisesika Maharaj, she's imbibed to be very consistent and determined in her service, again, showing up no matter what is going on in her life, and to always show compassion to all the living beings through university preaching, book distribution, and even personal preaching as well. So I'm very grateful to have her as my friend, and I would like to call her here.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Ananga Sundari, and so many of my friends who are over here, my mentors, my guides, my spiritual teachers, each and every one, and my well-wishers too. I sincerely pray that life after life I can serve Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, Vaisesika Prabhu, in whatever way I can. And please forgive me if I've hurt it during my Janmashtami services, if I've been too forceful or fierce. Sorry, that's just a part of my service. Thank you so much. And I also want to make an announcement. So as part of our Janmashtami planning team, we have a kids care where on the day of Janmashtami, on 16th of August, starting from 3 p.m. all the way till 1 a.m., we are going to take care of all your kids, provided you have to register them. So the registration for the kids care has already been sent out on ISV General. It's also going to be sent out on the emails. Please do register, because with that registration, we'll know the count for the goodies that we have to get for the kids, for the sports. We have amazing team lined up, led by Prem Nam Prabhu, Tulsi Bhakti Mataji, Shyama Kumari Mataji, Hari Katha Mataji, Radhika Prema Mataji, and Suvarna Gopika Mataji. We have crafts, games, we have like amazing Krishna conscious games. And this is all going to happen in Mountain View Community Center at Rengstroff, just 5 minutes walk from here. Just drop your kids at 3 p.m. We also have rented out a maple room in Community Center if parents want to relax a bit and just see the live, because the temple will be overcrowded. We're expecting around 12,000 to 15,000 visitors that day. So we earnestly request all our devotees, if you can actually come to the community center and spend your evening there. We'll have prasadam arranged for everybody. It will be Ekadashi prasadam. And please reach out to me if you have any questions. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Before you hand out the mic, let me give you the prasad, Mahaprasad. And I would like to give this to Ananga Sundari also. So please hand it over this to her. Okay, let me take this. Hare Krishna. So now I think we are all ready to hear from Her Grace Hanspriya Mataji for the Janmashtami festival.
Thank you, Prabhu. May I get the lights down, please? Can I get the video up, please?
Here's the numbers to remember. 1965 Latham Street in Mountain View, California. 2025 Sri Krishna Janmashtami, and it's on August 16th. You're invited. That's at ISKCON of Silicon Valley. It's easy to find. We have parking for everybody, and it's well organized. It's kid-friendly. We have prasadam. We have engagement all day long, bhajans, prachar, and plenty of activities, swinging Krishna on the Julan and darshan like you've never seen before. Please come join us for Krishna's birthday. We'll dance, sing, and celebrate together till past midnight. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Who would like to pass this on to your friends and families and co-workers? All right, we'll send it out tomorrow to ISV Connect as well as ISV General. If you would like to join our WhatsApp or community group, please ping us and we will be happy to join you. You can give your information at the booth. So as we are approaching the very exciting festival, which is going to be starting next week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we'll be starting the services. If you'd like to volunteer, please join us starting Thursday, 11 a.m. And we will be doing a lot of festivities. We are expecting more than 14,000 devotees. And starting Friday evening, 5 p.m. till all the way till Sunday evening. So please share, invite. There are going to be a lot of facilities for you. If you are welcome to sit here from 4:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. And after that, we all will be out serving all the Krishna's guests. So there would be cooperation needed from each of you that we give our spot to the visiting guest. And at the midnight, we will be having Aarti. We wanted to warn you that it might be a little too hard, too stuffy. If you cannot handle it, please watch from outside. We will be doing the broadcast as well. Okay, so I would like to invite Anantanitai Prabhu to give us a little more information. We have 36 teams. We need all the volunteers. So there are so many leads are there, and the leads might have reached out to you. If you haven't been assigned any service, please do not hesitate to reach out to JPT team. It's called Janmashtami Planning Team. So jptteam@gmail.com. And more from Anantanitai Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So as Mataji mentioned, we have total 36 teams. And out of them, 25 teams will be serving simultaneously on the day of Janmashtami. And to make sure that each team is set for success, we need volunteers for each team arranged properly. So it's a humble request to all the devotees, core members here, all of your core members, that if JPT has reached out to you with some service request, service assignment, please honor that. And we are trying our best to match the interests to the team's requirements, but sometimes it happens that some teams which are not so much preferred, they fall short on volunteers. So we have to pull some volunteers from other teams which are overcrowded with volunteers and staff the other teams so that everybody is set for success and our festival for the pleasure of Prabhupada becomes a grand success. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Anantanitai Prabhu. Now next we will have Radha Kripa Prabhu. He can guide you where you should be parking. If you don't want somebody to tow away your car, and if you feel like you would like to spend that money, we are here to take it. Okay? Here you go, Radha.
Hare Krishna. We have made enough arrangement actually. So for our regular devotees, regular means those who are really regular, we are really requesting all of you to only park at the designated spots, which we are going to send you an email. Basically, the idea is that we park in an area so that rest of the area which is free, the new devotees then come and then can go. Like the street, we need to keep it empty. So what will happen if we park the car there, then our car would be there for throughout the day. But if you don't park the car there, then maybe 20 devotees can take the darshan and make use of it. So for all the visitors, the arrangement is we have made elaborate arrangement for them. We have a school, official parking from the school, front and the back. There's a different school. Both schools we have taken a permit from them. An atrium business center, which is we have been using for previous years. Almost 200 plus parking is there. That also we have taken full parking permission from them. We have also have a rank staff, our community center, so we can also park there. And as an overflow, we have also taken a permission from Target to park after 6 p.m. onwards, so that we can overflow can go there as well. And this is just to make sure that the people, and we will also run the shuttles from our atrium center. But from the atrium center, you can also walk. So there will be signage, enough signage for you to walk, because that location is exactly behind this building. So you can come from that side, and walking it's easier. Then there will be no clogging in the parking areas, especially due to multiple cars coming at the same time. So all what we needed, all our regular devotees, just your pledge to not park in the street, not park in the school, because school is the where people will typically go. And then also there are do not parking signs. 7-Elevens, if you do the parking, or our apartment complex, they are going to get mad. They're going to tow the truck, call the truck. Problem is, if one car is towed, that hurts me a lot, because my goal is 0 car to be towed. And that can only happen if you all cooperate. So look forward for all the communication through your emails, and reach out to us. There is a phone numbers we have listed in our website, and also there will be recorded a message on our website where to park, and then you can also forward that message to everyone. Thank you all for your cooperation, and looking forward to the fun. Thank you.
You heard from the kids care, you heard from the general Janmashtami departments and the service opportunities. You also heard that this is going to be few days long festival, and we wanted to make sure that you can volunteer. And if you can't volunteer for some or other reason, you could actually contribute to through the donation. And I will have Suryakund Prabhu announce something on that regards.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, it's as Mataji did say. So we have several service opportunities where we can contribute to serve lordships on this auspicious day. And throughout the day, we'll have different services, and you can sponsor for any of those. So, and there is a kind of a certain value of donation. It makes you eligible for doing Kalish Abhishek on that day. And there's a special gift also that you can take back home from Krishna. So I'll be outside. There's a table there. Please feel free, come. And if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer those. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. And
Abhishek will be from 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. is Saturday. So you want to make sure that you plan accordingly so you can be here. Vaisesika Prabhu and Mother Nirkala will be leading the Abhishek as well. I also wanted to mention that please look after your kids. We have a kids care. But since so many new people are coming in, new visitors are coming in, we want to make sure the kids under 5, they are under the supervision of one of the parent. Another parent can contribute into the services. Okay. Last but not the least, the best part of the festival, that His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu will having the program throughout the day on Janmashtami. So that is something, the highlight of the day. And please take the most of it from 4:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Do not miss out. Hare Krishna.
We just got a word from the kitchen team that they need 4 volunteers in the kitchen. So if you are interested, please reach out to Siddha Katha or just go into the kitchen area. Thank you. Yeah, for all the volunteers. Now Arna will announce the cooks for tonight's feast.
Hare Krishna. The cooks for today were Hansapriya Mataji, Malay Prabhu, and Shampakta Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Now we'll go to the Prasad Sevya prayers. Madhuri Sakhi Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Shanida Vidadha Johindiya Tahika Jive Fere Vishaya Sagore Tamade Vivayaki Lobha Sukhavati Kati Jita Kati Sansare Prasade Govinde Namo Vaishnava Prasade Sarvadhana Bhavasa Pajayate Prasannasya Bhava Bhavishate Bhavata Bhutta Sarvana Vasalankara Sajita Prasita Bhudi Vadasa Sadhana Devahi Sistam Parisitam Mati Mukha Mati Bhagavad Shiva Prasad Ki Nita Gora Hariva 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 Nita Gora Hariva